Hello, everyone. We are here at Sew and Save. I'm Karen, and this is the Fabulous Fabric Box Mystery, and this is clue number 6. I hope. That's where I'm at, and I hope you are too. So let's start out by pulling out your blocks. How did that go last month? We did. You were busy. We did 3 different blocks. We did a 1 of 1, 4 of 1 jump. We're holding stuff up because there's a lot of black. Ooh, I see a lot of good blocks. I see a lot of nice points. There you go. They're beautiful. You did a beautiful job on that. So some blacks we did 1 of. I'd love to see all those. Look at how happy that is. So pretty. So pretty. Ooh, I love the blue background on that. Is cool. Look at the gray on the back. I like her pink too with her blacks.
Going back to the pink and black. Hold on.
Yeah, the pink and black is really cool. Sue's pink and black, I think, right behind you right there, I think is really cool. The pink background is really cool. And I love her black background with the bright, I like them all. I do like them all. Good job. We missed the pictures of yours, Kay. Did you bring any for show and tell? Okay. That's okay. You're here. You've got your stuff. All right. So this month, are you ready for this month? This month, you're going to make 2 different blocks. I'm going to take one of these, and I'll just pass out 2 stacks, and you guys can pass it around. Take one down, pass it around. You're going to make 2 different blocks this month. 2. Count them. 2. And you're going to make 4 of 1 and 8 of the second one. So 4 of the first one, 8 of the second, as it's going around. I'll wait till everybody has one so that we're sure everybody's got one. Okay, so I'm going to go through each block, and I'm going to actually go row by row through each block. Okay? All right. Oh. It looks like something, and yet nothing. It looks like something. Not sure what it is. Okay, so this is my block. So I have a couple of these made. So this is the first block you're going to do. Okay. Ta-da! You're going to do 4 of these. All righty? So you can take as many pictures as you want. Okay, so when it tells you, it gives you a list of pieces that you need. That is a list of what you need to make 1 block. Okay? Okay? So as you see that list, it's it has a list of what pieces you need. You need to multiply that times 4 in order to have enough. But let's go through and talk through each row of this block. Okay? So the first thing you're going to want to get are those little squares. And you're going to need 16 of those. Those ones. Yep, get out your squares. You're going to need 16, which I think is how many we made. Yeah. 16 of those. You're going to use all 16 because they're going to go in each of the 4 corners. Isn't that cool? Okay, so I'm going to put those up there. So you're going to do that first. Right here. Right here. So you need 16 of those because you're going to make 4 blocks. They're going to go in each of the 4 corners. Cool, right? Good so far. Everybody with me? Okay, you ready for the second part? Okay, remember those cute little flying geese you made? Flying geese. The little flying geese. You're going to need 16 of those, which is how many we made? I think is how many we made. And those are going to go right here. So you're going to need 16 of those because you're going to need 1 on each side. All righty. Ta-da! Good so far, right? Right there, there, and there. Good? Okay, so then somewhere along the line, you have 4, or you need 16 little fabric C rectangles. C rectangles. They're 2.5 by 4.5. And you need 16 of those. 16 C rectangles, which I think is all of them, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, those guys are going to go right here. 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 Oops, I guess I could move this up a little, but give it less room there. Okay. Kind of fun, right? It's going to be a fun black. I'm going to slide this down. Especially since all these pieces are already made. Love that, right? And then you're going to have an E, which goes in the center, which is 4.5 by 4.5, and you only need 4 of these because you only have 1 center in each block. So your fabric E, which is your backgroundy one, 4.5-inch squares, 4 of those. And that's what makes that block. So you can take pictures of that if you want, if that helps at all. I don't know. Okay, so I'll let you do that, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to proceed from there. So you're going to make 4 of these blocks. Good, right? You've got all your pieces ready to go. So the first thing you're going to do is to sew these guys together. So sew your little flying geese to your little strips. You can do that. And I kind of lay this block out. Actually, no, I didn't. Actually, what I did is I took all of my flying geese, because all 16 flying geese are connected to all 16, whatever fabric this was, C rectangles? C rectangles. So all of these are connected. So I just lined those up and I sewed all of those first. So I sewed all 16 of these together. That way then I could come back and I laid my block out. And then what I did is I started and I sewed this row first. Oops. I sewed this row first. So I'm going to take all this off. So hang on. I will show you in half a second because, ta-da! I have them all done. I have one all put together. So here's one row. So then I sewed one row. Actually, I'm lying. I did the top and bottom rows because the top and bottom rows are exactly the same. Okay? Yep. So I made 8 of these. And you're going to use up all of those. You're going to use up all of these. Okay, so I made 8. And I pressed toward the center. So I ended up pressing my seam, this seam, toward the plain fabric. As you can see, I pressed down towards the plain fabric. And then I pressed these to the center. Oops, on both of them. I'm going to knock this over yet. So I did the same on both of them. So the top and bottom row are pressed toward the center.
So I know this question's been asked before.
Away from the points.
Why are some of them pressed open and some of them pressed?
So these are nicely pressed open because this is going to make this a lot flatter right here. And you could flip this over and press this once. You could press it open, but what happens a lot of times is this little seam right here is going to get really thick. And it just wanted to press this way. And sometimes if you press this one going this way, like when you press this kind of coming this way, it kind of makes a funky bump on that little point when you press it towards that point. So it's better to press away from that point. Okay, so that's just how it wanted to go. Because I think I did try pressing it open, and it just didn't want to. It was better pressing this way. Okay, that's just the way it was better. It was happier that way. So sometimes it's just determined by what your fabric is telling you. You might be telling it, I want to press you open, and it'll say no. No, I don't want you to. And it's not a big, there's a little bit of a bump there, but not that bad. It's fine. Okay, so these are pressed toward the center. This was pressed towards my strip. Okay, so we're going to flip this going this way. No, we're going to flip this going this way. This was going the right way. And then this is going to end up going that way. So I did these first because they were the harder ones. Because you kind of want to get this point and this line lined up. So what I did is I lined up my point with the line and did that little thing where I just stitched from here to here and got it right where I wanted it to be. And that kind of locks it in place. Then I came along and stitched the whole rest of the way. So if I stitched this little area and it didn't line up with that line, then all I had to do is rip out something this long. And then I could reline it up again. Okay, does that make sense? So that's how I do these little guys, because I want these guys to match up as best I can. And then I just come back and I just stitch the whole line. Because once you got this locked in, you start here and it's not going to move. If you like try to pin it or binder clip it, whatever you do, whichever end you start at, it's going to push and it's going to move those two fabrics.
So you're saying just.
So I just sew from here to here on either side, like from the seam line to the seam line. So like from here to here. Get it lined up so that, look at it, if I love it, then I just go from here to here. If I don't like it, then I'm just ripping out maybe 5 stitches. And because as you rip here, when you're ripping all the way down, you're pulling, you're twisting, you're stretching things out of shape. So you're just ripping out a little bit. Takes a lot less time than ripping out the whole seam. And then once you have this stitched, you can just start from here. And even if this moves, it's going to ease in because that's not going to move because it's stitched in place. So that's how I do it. That's how I did all of those. Okay. So I do that. Got my top and my bottom. Then I came along and I made 4 middle rows. And that was, once you got that done, this is super easy because look at that. Nothing matches up. You're just sewing this to this, this to this. Then I press this out toward the C fabric, towards that rectangle. So these are pressed in, top and bottom are in. This seam is out. Okay, I'll flip it over so you can see that. So these are pressed out. These are pressed in. So now they're going to nest, even though I laid them in there upside down. So these are going to nest with these. So then as I sewed these, because, well, this is pretty easy. Again, I came along because then I'm going to, as I'm coming along, this is going to go this way. This goes this way. So then I'm going to have kind of a repeat on what I did before. As I go along, I want this to line up and this to line up. So I stitched on either, I got this to line up and this to line up, stitched on either side of that diamond point. And then as I came along, because this nests with itself, then I could, once I got this and this, it was easy just to move along and get that nested as I was going along. If you don't feel that confident, you could do this, nest this and do this seam, nest this, do this, and then do this little piece, and then go all the way across. But usually once you get these two done, this is easy because they're going to nest right inside of one another because their seams are pressed opposite directions. Make sense? Oh, do I have it upside down? I knew I'd do that. There we go. There you go. Yeah, make sure that you've got these guys go in the right direction. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy. Then you will be ripping. And that's another good way of figuring that out, too, because then you'll kind of get these locked in, and then you kind of flip it open, and you look at it, and then you'll realize if you have something flipped, hopefully, you'll realize if you have something flipped upside down, then you only have to rip out this and this instead of ripping out the whole seam because you sewed some. Hopefully, you'll see that it's upside down and backwards at that point. Sometimes not. One would think, but no, sometimes not. And you end up ripping out a whole seam. So you're going to make 4 of those. Any questions on that? Tell Sharon Tenuta that you're finding out about your next block. So that's going to be 4 of those. Ta-da! Then you're going to set those aside. An important thing that if you haven't done it previously, You might want to do it now. This is called block number 2. See up on top where it says block 2? And last month we did a couple of those other blocks, 3 and 4. That's right. 1, 3, and 4. Yeah, for whatever reason it wasn't in order. I remember that. So if you numbered those blocks, your life will be easier next month. So it's easier to go back right now and do 1, 3, and 4, and then mark this 2 and your next block 5. Okay? So just a little tip for next time, because I didn't do that, and now I'm looking at them going, oh. And I don't know what block the first one that we did was. Was that 6? That was 6. Yeah. So that was number 6. So try to block those if you have time. 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, and 4. Last month was 1, 3, and 4. And it says, like right here, up on top of the instruction, it'll say block 1, or block 1, and then it'll say block 3, and then it'll say block 4. Yep. Page through all those from last month. Yeah, so it'll say.
You know where it
Okay.
says that you should measure 12 and a half by 12 and a half? Mine did not.
Mine are 12 and a half-ish.
Mine were more like 12.
Okay, then they're 12. Then that's what it is. Then that has to do with probably your quarter-inch seam. I hear you. I hear you. And things just, mine are not a perfect 12 and a half. I can tell you that right now. But they're going to be fine. Because you'll find that whatever yours kind of are, they'll kind of be sort of consistent in a good life, in a good quilting life. But then there's always one that's like way off, for whatever reason. We don't know. The quilt fairies come along at night and mess you up. All right, so the next block you're going to do, you're going to do 8 of these. 8. Yeah, I have one I have to fix because I didn't trim down my quarter and I sewed it together anyways. I don't know why. Okay, so this is block, I was going to say block 8. This is block 5, and you're going to do 8. Hey. Hi, Katie. Hi. You're so pretty in pink.
Is there any reason I can't show the pattern for the contrast on here?
Yeah, you could. Do it quick. Nobody's going to. Yeah, that's fine, because people who are seeing it are part of the group, or they're not seeing it, are part of, bought in. So that's fine. Okay, so this is, so this is block 5. You're going to do 8. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find that you have some 2.5 by width of fabric strips. You have 2 B's, a D, and an E. So you might want to find those. 2 B's, 2 B, a D, and an E. Okay? This is my D and E. Okay, so you're going to find those, and you're going to make 2 strip sets. One is going to be B and D. Because you're going to have 2 B's, and one is going to be B and E. Okay, you're going to make a strip set. You're going to sew it the whole width of the fabric, 1/4 of an inch, and then I press toward B. B and D, B and E. Press towards B. Okay. And then you're going to cut these into a whole bunch. 16. Yes. 16 2.5 inch. They're going to end up 2.5 by 4.5. And I have this really nice little 2.5 by 4.5 inch creative grid ruler, which we're out of. I ordered more of and haven't come in. But this is a great ruler to do this with, because it's exactly the width and the size of your strips. So that way you don't have to take a bigger ruler and line it up on the 2.5. You could, if you had a Stripology ruler, you could slide it in and do it at every 2.5. That would be quick too. You could line this one up in there and this one up in your stripology ruler and go whoot, 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 and be done. There's that too. But but I always, if I'm cutting, if we had to cut a 4.5-inch strip out of here, I would get my 4.5-inch ruler. You know, whatever size strip I have to cut, that's kind of the size ruler I go for, because I can lay this down and I don't have to think. And I don't have to worry that I'm laying it on the wrong line, and I cut it at 2 instead of 2.5, or 3 instead of 3, you know, because I lay this down, cut, lay, go, or use my stripology and just go along with that. 2 really great rulers to use, because you're going to use almost the whole thing to cut this, to do this. You're going to need almost your whole strip. Okay, so you're going to do that with both of those. Then, doesn't really show you doing it. So then at that point, once you cut these, you're going to take those little strips and you're going to make a little 4 patch. And you're going to make a little 4 patch. Let's see. I don't know what line first row, what second row is. This is the bottom. This is this one. This is the top. This is the middle. Okay, just so I know which row I'm taking this out of. Okay, so then you're going to make a little 4 patch. So since you've pressed toward B, those 2 little seams are going to nest together. So I nested those together, and then I think I pressed it open after that. So then it's nice and flat here. But whatever, you could do the little thing where you do the little twist and do a little pinwheel on the back. You can press it one direction or the other, whatever makes you happy. I think the instructions actually say press it open, but I don't know. I can't remember anymore. Yeah, it says press open. But I for sure pressed these. That might have even said press open too. I can't. Pressing the seam open. So they said for the first one to press the seam open. I didn't do that. I pressed it toward the B so that this nested nice when I sewed those together. Made it a lot easier to match that up and go. And then once you press it open, it's fine down there. Okay. Then we're going, so that's all that, you know, sewing the bits together to make this happen. Because everything else you have sewn together. And now you're going to also pull that together and start making your next row. And this I ended up doing, I kind of laid it out, but I went row by row and I made 8 first rows, 8 middles, 8 bottoms, then added them together. Because it's not like the first one where the top and bottom row were the same. Each row is different. So exciting. And each row has a way of flipping things wrong, so it's not going to look right. Okay, so let's go through that. So row 1, you're going to take B and D, you're going to take this B and D, whatever they call it, half-hour glass block. And you're going to have a bunch of them. You're going to have a bunch. You're going to have 16. You're going to have 16, but 8 are going to go one way, and 8 will go another way. So here's this must be my other 8. So you can see, yeah, so you can see how these 2 are not, well, they are exactly the same. But what was turning? Something was turning different. Something was turned. You just turn them different. Okay. So you're going to take 8 for your first row and 8 for the middle row. Okay. And these are going to go next to B. No, not B. What have we got? E, D. You should have 4.5-inch Ds. Okay, 4.5-inch Ds, and you're going to have 8 of these. Okay, 4.5-inch Ds. Yeah, because you had B and E, and then you have B and D. This matches my D, so okay. So you're going to put one of these squares up in the top corner. Then you're going to add your half hourglass block. And so all of your B is going to be up on top, and your color is going to be towards the center. So you end up getting this kind of square in a square look. Okay, so that's where that's going to go. Don't turn it. Don't. It needs to go toward the center. And then the other thing that you'll see is like all of the B is up here, and then all of your E is here. So hopefully you don't get that twisted. Okay, so just so you can kind of see how that's all going together. So you're going to have that going there. And then you're going to put your little 4-patch. And then here again, it's not going to sit like this because you want, this is E, and you want all of your B's together. So you want your B's up here. So that all that B floats there. Okay, makes sense? So all your B is floating here. If you turn this way, it's going to look weird. You'll see how if you put it in the wrong spot, hopefully it'll jump out at you and go, no, no, no. But sometimes it doesn't do that until after you sew it. Doggone it. So I line all this up. I actually laid everything out, and then I line it all up, make sure kind of everything is looking the way it should. Then I take it and I sewed all 8 of these rows. Nothing fancy to match here. No little points to match. Yay. That's always a yay block. Okay? So that's your first row. Your second row then, okay, so that was that, that was that. Then I need this stack. I have everything all stacked up. I was doing this while I was baking cookies for the bus trip tomorrow. Okay, so in between batches of cookies. All right, so then your next row, you're going to use your B, what was this, B and D. Again, you're going to start with that. And that's going to be turned so that my little triangle is facing toward the center. Okay. Then I'm going to have my nice 4.5-inch E block, which is your background. If I can get it. That's going to go in the center. Okay. Now you're going to take your B and E block. I'm finally getting these letters down. Now that we're all done. B and E, which your E is your background, and that's going to go right here. Again, with your triangles all in the center. So you can see how that's starting to turn and make something, what we don't know. And here's your background all lining up here, and you've got your B all lining up over here. If something is turned, it should hopefully say something to you. So then I sewed these. So this, I don't know what I did. Okay, yes, I do. Okay. So as I sewed, wait, what did I do? Okay. So as I sewed, these went out. I pressed these out, and this pressed in. Okay, these pressed out, which is, I think, opposite of the last time. These pressed out. These pressed in. I have no idea what they're telling you to do, but press all seams open. I kind of wouldn't do that. Because you kind of want these, because this is going to be fun, so you kind of want that nesting. So, what did I say? Out, in.
That's the same as the last block.
Okay, can't remember. So that's that one. Again, no points to match up. So they go together quick. Then I sewed all 8 of those, just laid them down. Then you're going to do your last row. Your last row is going to be, I've got this one. This is going to go, it's not going to go here. It's going to go here. See how that works? So that all of my E ends up flowing together there. Then I'm going to have my half hourglass block with B and E. Isn't that cool? And then another, oh no. I wanted to put another one of those. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to throw everything off, and we're going to put in a half square triangle. I think some of these half square triangles didn't get cut down. Nope. Yeah, because I had some half done for demo, I think. Yeah, and I sewed one on, and if you'll know it, because it's going to look terrible. Where's mine? It looks terrible someplace. It's not that one. Oh, it's this one. This one. And why I kept going and sewed it on, I'll never know. Now I have to rip it off. Now I have to rip off that corner. Why didn't I just, no, because if I do that, I'm going to cut that off right there, and then it's going to look bad when it's sewn on. So I have to, see if I just hack this off and line it up, then that's where my, it's, you have to have that 1/4 inch. On both sides I have to, yeah. I don't know.
So we gotta trim the half square.
If yours half squares are not, some of them were. I had some that were all done, and some apparently that were not. So I have to just check my last. I just had a few that were not. Like this one's fine. You'll know right away because it'll go on. It'll go on and you'll have that, and it won't be too big. If it's too big, please just take that time and trim it down because that's going to take more time now. And I got that corner just really nice, and now I got to rip it out and get it all matched up again. And what was I thinking? Okay. Okay, so now you're going to add this one. I think this one's smaller. This one's smaller. This one's the right size. There you go. Well, maybe it's not. Well, I don't know. I'm just going to double check the rest that I have left to make sure it's right. So here again, it's not going to go this way because that'll break up your background design there. So you may want to make sure that's flipped this way. So now you have all of your background E coming this way, all of your B coming around that way. That's going to be important. And you're going to have all of your triangles coming around so you get kind of that square and a square diamond in the center. Okay, so then this one I think out, and these were in. This is pressed out. So then as I sewed them together, I did that same thing, because I'm going to pop this off. Are we done? Okay. Pop this off. Now, if I'm smart, I would line these all back up the way they went. I don't know. I think that goes like that. I'm going to have to reorganize them when I get home. Anyway, because I have about 4 or 5 of them done. And then, okay, so we have, this is the bottom, all sewn together. This is the top, all sewn together. This is the middle, all sewn together. There we go. So we're going to go like that. So now we're going to get these, that needs this little corner here to match up and this little corner here to match up. So they're going to nest, first of all. And then again, I just sew like from here to here, just to make sure that I like this little corner right here. And if all of that looks good, I do both of these, this one and this one first. If I like the way they look, then I just go all the way straight across. So I get those locked in and perfectly perfect. Some of them, sometimes it takes me a couple times. Sometimes it works the first time, and that really makes me happy. They don't always work perfectly the first time. Sometimes it takes 2 times. Sometimes I've done 3. Usually if it doesn't work in 3, it's just the quilting world is just telling me that that's just the way it's going to be. Unless the 3rd time is like 5 times worse than the first 2. Then I have to try one more time. But yeah, usually 2 or 3 times and I'll get it. But I always do these little corners first. Then I press this seam and this seam open. And made it nice and flat. Are you ready? It's kind of fun because your bags are getting empty. I have empty bags. So so we're going to meet again. Unless I just let you go and say, okay, now figure out how it all goes together. I don't think you want me to do that.
When we're done with this, will all our bags be empty?
Let me look. There might be one more block we have to do. I have some stuff in here, but I think this is leftover. I have some of these, but that I might need. I have one of these left and 2 of these left, but they just might be extras. I don't know. I think I have all the rest of my bags are empty. I mean, I do have these, but I think this is leftover fabric. These are all leftovers. These are all leftovers. So yeah, I think all of your bags will be pretty much empty. Yeah. And next month, we'll sew it all together. So you could try laying it out. You could play around and see what you end up with. See what happens. Could be fun.
Well, I'm guessing number 1, which we only have one of, would be the center.
Very possibly. Don't we have just, oh yeah, that was the one last time. Don't we have a one from last time? Yeah, so that's your center. So that might tell you something. But I don't know. So you could play around, see how you feel. Possibly. Yeah, you could lay out stuff and see what happens. You don't want to? She's like, I don't want to do it. Yeah, you got other stuff to do. But if you can't wait, it might be fun just to try to put the puzzle together and see if you get it. See if you get it. It could be fun. I don't know. Why do I feel like 68 by 68, but I could be totally wrong. Here, I've got it on here, I think. 60 by 60 and a half by 60 and a half. So I'm going to put borders on it when I'm done. I'm going to probably do an inner and an innie and an outie. An innie and an outie. An inner border and an outer border. I'll probably do one of, do that. Just to kind of make it bigger. Yeah. Go home and get Joe to put this on YouTube because it's not going to happen tomorrow because it's not going to happen tomorrow. We're taking 90 people to the quilt show. So it's not happening tomorrow. So I'm hoping it'll happen tonight. So our next meeting is going to be Thursday, September 25th. Thursday, September 25th at 10 o'clock. Okay, so that gives you a few weeks to catch up, to play with those a little bit. So there's a little bit going on. But I'll put that in the email, hopefully tonight. If not tonight, then it probably won't happen until Saturday. Probably won't happen Friday night either, by the time I get home. Depends on how well things go. If everybody makes it to the bus, if we don't lose anybody, if the bus doesn't break down, if all the buses come on time, all those things that I wake up at 4 in the morning and worry about, and then there's the things that I've never imagined could happen. Just when I think after all of these years of doing bus trips, everything that could possibly happen, that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong, something new happens. But it's just part of our story later on. Remember the year that the bus broke down? Or remember the year that the bus hit a car in the parking lot? That was a fun year. Remember the year that the bus didn't show up? Remember that? So it's all part of our stories later on. But okay, so if you have any questions, you know where to get me. I'll get this out to you as soon as possible. And yeah, if you need anything, just holler and have fun with it. Breathe, relax. It's all good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And we will see you tomorrow. Some of you tomorrow, bright and early. Some of you here, some of you at Ryan Road, some of you on 94 and 20, which only adds to our fun and our chaos. And oh, hey, bye. Have you say bye to everybody on Facebook.